And now, Detailing Success and PNS Double Black present the Renny Doyle Podcast, a podcast for blue-collar entrepreneurs. Hosted by the detailer of Air Force One and founder of both Detailing Success and the Detail Mafia, Renny Doyle.
So Chris, what if you speak first and it says, but now here's Renny? I mean, you know.
Oh, I just know better.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to put you to, next time I'm just going to sit here and look at the camera and make you say something.
Oh, well, then I'll just say, surprise.
Jump out of a cake. Oh, that's funny, man. Funny.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's weather up there today? That's the topic
Beautiful.
Everywhere right now.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah?
It's gorgeous. Yeah. It's really pretty. Yesterday, not so much,
Yeah.
We had icy roads, last night, and coming down, I had a funeral. Bill Bartell, I love you. Absolutely do change my life. Was the closest, God, I got to be careful saying this the way I say it. My dad's still alive, and I love my dad. We just never close. I didn't know him when I was a kid, right? I didn't know him until I was an adult. So no disrespect taken from him. But Bill Bartell came into my life when I was 14. And, we didn't have any money. I didn't know what luxury was. I'd never gone to a dinner. Dinner to me was like a fancy dinner. Literally, I'm not kidding you, it was McDonald's. We just didn't have anything, right? And so, this man just exposed me. He was an entrepreneur. He's a pilot. He was an honorary dude. And I think everybody agreed at the funeral yesterday, at the memorial, that everybody had a tiff with him at some point, right? But it was always great because he was a strong personality. But here's the thing, his wife's personality is even stronger. And I got up and, it's my first wife's dad. We were married. Becky and I were married at a very young age, and we were talking. Her and I were talking. Her and Diane know each other. My wife knows her, and I know her kids. Her kid. I put up something last night. Did you see where I said a young man made me cry yesterday?
No, I missed it.
So I put on my story, and boy, I get emotional. Bill loved to fish, so I loved to fish as a kid, but I'd never gone out deep sea fishing, and so Bill introduced me into a one-day trip, of deep sea fishing, and I loved it. So then we went out for several one-dayers, and then we went for 3-dayers. Then we went for a 1 week, and then one time I went with him way down to Mexico for 2 weeks, and I never did that one again. That was way too long to be on a boat with a bunch of dudes. I just didn't dig it. I could have never made the Navy work.
No 3-hour cruise, huh?
Yeah, no 3-hour cruise. But Bill so on the edge of his coffin were different types of fish. These little ceramics, right? Some would have angels and this and that, and they put fish on his. So he's got 4 grandkids. They give all the grandkids, the fish off the corner. And so I was a pallbearer, and I spoke, and God, the dude just left so many freaking, yesterday, honestly, when he died, it hit me hard. And then yesterday he died and it's so backed up on burying people, it took him almost a month to bury him. And so, I don't do open casket stuff. Just not me. I want to remember him how I last saw him. Does that make sense?
I'm with you there.
What's that?
I'm with you there.
Yeah, nah. He's that's a shell. The real stuff's being dealt with, right? But I won't say yesterday I was sad. I was sad not to be with these guys. Diane had them though. Bless your hearts. I think I was in a better place being at a funeral than you guys with her. Who got busted for leaning? Anybody? Oh! Fellow female. Twice. Yeah. You'll have more shots. So, I guess I'm rambling on about Bill, but here's the thing is that probably about 20 years ago, I always appreciated Bill. Everything he did for me, I always appreciated. But about 20 years ago, I went, oh shit, this dude totally changed. Him and his wife both changed the course of my entire life. So at every single moment, I gave glory to them. At every single moment. So at the end of the day, I'm good, man. I cried a little bit when I was speaking because I was talking to his wife because she's alive. And I wanted to make sure that not just I got to tell her how I felt about her husband, but how I felt about her, but how so her kids and her grandkids could hear there's people there that they left. I had no idea some of the crater-sized freaking deposits they put into other people. It was not just me. That was a habit that they had their entire lives of giving to other people. There's some good friends of theirs that became really good friends to me, right? They're from New Guinea. They sponsored them there. Well, they helped them buy their first house. There are immigrants here. They helped them become citizens. They had to leave their two children, their twin girls, back in New Guinea and come here for 2 years. And Bill and Winnie, they didn't have the money to bring the girls out. Bill and Winnie paid for that. I mean, things I didn't know, right? And so here I am at the end of the day. It's raining like crazy, which, Chris, we don't get rain. And this was down the hill. And all of a sudden, my I don't call her my ex-wife because I've got too much respect for her. My first wife, we were just young, stupid, no kids. But all of a sudden, I know her kids, her son comes up to me. He's got tears in his eyes and this one's gonna be tough. He goes, Renny, I know how close you were to my grandpa. And he goes, I want you to have this. And he presented me the fish that was on the side of his casket. And he goes, you deserve this. You had a lifelong, and honestly, it's going to mean more. And maybe someday it will come back to me. And I was like, you want to tell me that youth is bad? That kid had stop saying that about young people.
He clearly had a good grandpa.
He had a good grandpa. He's got an entire Becky, my ex-wife. A lot of people hate their exes. I love my ex. She's her family. We're closer brothers and sister and business partners, if that makes sense. I have 3,000% respect for that family because that family is my family and it changed my life. And if you can't admit that to people, do not let them die. And you haven't told them that. The good thing is I'd go in, I told the story, is every time I was on drill weekend, I'd always go in and see Bill. Not every time, but a lot of drills. He loved seeing me in uniform. Well, COVID happened, and I can't tell the whole story. I'll tell you guys afterwards. If you want to hear the whole story, come up to me at an event, and I'll tell you. But I found a way, even during COVID, to get into him. And I didn't misuse anything or do anything illegal. I just listen. You don't get anywhere. We got some questions today, and I hope some people ask me some hard questions. You don't get anywhere. What's the old saying? Is you learn the rules like an artist, so you can break them like a professional or something like that. I can't remember what the quote is. Somebody famous said it. You got to learn the rules, and you got to learn where to bend the rules right. Not illegally, but listen. If you're going to follow the rules of business, you're gonna fail, because you got to go out and figure out those rules for how they are in your business and your life. So, yeah, this week is powerful. We got some freaking awesome people here. It's cool because there's very few new souls to me here. I know these people. I've met them before, and it's pretty badass. So Chris, I got to have them come up one at a time. I'm going to have you guys come up. We'll just start right here. Just work your way around. Just say, your name and your name of your company and where you're from, the country. So come on up. We're going to have them introduce. This is a big part of it because they're part of our lives right now, And this week's kind of cool because you guys were, everybody there knows what I do. And they were asking, a lot of them saw on social media that we're training. They're like, how the hell? And so I had to give praise to Diane. Hey, Diane covered for me, but these guys are cool. And so, we just changed the schedule around a little bit, which we appreciate you guys allowing us to do it. Because yesterday I used to call it the 4 big ones when I was young. My mom and grandma, Bill and Winnie. Those were the big things when I was your guys' age I didn't want to face. And that was losing them. Yeah, I've lost 3 or 4, And did I lose them? No, it's just I'm delayed seeing them again. But God, again, I look at it the same way with my dog. It sounds crazy, but he's at the vet right now having his belly drained out a little bit because his dang ticker doesn't work real well. I'm going to lose him at some point. No, I'm not. It's just delayed. I'm just not going to see him for a bit. That dog has showed me more about aging. Bill is the same way, man. Bill's 91. When he was 86, we had to sit down with him. They made me do it, and I had to take his motorcycle away from him.
He was still riding?
86 years old. He was still riding a motorcycle. Wow. And I said, dude, you can't do it no more. And he's like, well, can I just go to the grocery store? And I said, no. I said, you can't. And I said, they came around the corner and they saw you plow into a fence. Oh, yeah. I said, you're done. When Winnie, just 2 years ago, they made me take the car away from her because we had a deal. I was replacing the hubcaps on her car. She had hit a curb so that the rest of the family wouldn't find out. Well, finally, I was just buying hubcaps off of Amazon and just kept them in my car because it was literally every 2 weeks. And I called and I had a rat on her, and say, hey, we got to take her. You got to take her license away, But at home, she almost made it to 90, still driving. So that's cool, right? That's really cool. Come on up and introduce yourself. Hey guys,
real fast before they do that, I got a message from one of our students from last December. I thought I would share with these guys and with everybody. It's from Romero Torres, who we actually got to see just over the weekend. But he said, welcome. He said, welcome group, referring to the students there right now. He says, what a treat you're all having. I miss being in that training. It's life-changing and a treasure, the time and people I was blessed to work with that week last month. So there you go.
That was pretty cool. Romero's, he's good. All good people, man. Just the cool thing about being here is even if you don't stay in our group, the friendship goes on forever. The coolest thing is randomly yesterday, how the universe and God, whatever you want to call it, works, is one of our students, I was talking about him, Nick. I talked about him Monday. All of a sudden last night, I get a random email from Nick just asking how I was doing. And I was in a really good place, but it felt cool that a friend reached out at the right time. Mm-hmm. That's what this industry is all about. That's what industry, I don't care it's not just this industry, but I want to tell you, I went and spoke at, and I won't mention the industry. I went and spoke at another event in the industry. Man, they don't have the magic we got. Yeah. I used to rag on us a little bit because, we're kind of some ragtag, a bunch of broke people that kind of got into detailing as a way to survive. Right. I'm speaking to myself. Yeah. So we're ragtag. Yeah. We're all different ages and from backgrounds and this and that. You know what? That kind of what makes our heart. What people in our industry rag about ourselves about is actually a gift that we've got because we dig it. We're soul deep and the emotions come out. And I'll tell you what, it's a blessing, and having everybody here this week is a blessing. I wouldn't be as focused and would probably dwell. And Bill used to tell me when his mom died, he was a chronic alcoholic and he had really burnt his family, with 30 years of drinking. And so when I came into the family, it was right when he was giving up drinking, and none of them, they're done. They're ready to pop smoke on him, rightfully so. So I come into it and he's going through withdrawals and everything else, right? He's brand new at stopping. I think when we met, he was still drinking. But I remember him one day going, man, I got to go to this meeting and I'm really scared. And I'm 14 years old. And I went, Bill, you want me to go with you? And you know what that meeting did for me? I have addicts in my family. I watched it, went down. I went through AA as a youth with him, and it kept me from drinking. Because I said at all those, I must have went to 50 meetings with him. Not every single one of them, but he was scared. He was, his alcohol and his lack of alcohol both had trashed his life. And he never picked up another drink. He was younger than what I am now. 40-something years of being, his wife was ready to leave him. His kids had gotten fed up. His business was going crazy, good. And he went to a whole nother level at that point in business, in life. And here he took this ragtag kid, and changed his life. So come on up and introduce yourselves real quick. Just look into the light.
Hey, good morning. My name is Carlos Cadillo. I'm from Riverside, California. The business name is still in progress, but I'm glad to be here. It's a good program, and it's the connections that you make the best out of here. So happy to be here.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Hey, I'm Rusty Sarton. I'm from West Virginia. I've started up New Again Detailing. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be becoming part of the Mafia, and excited what else I can learn this week.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, Rusty.
Hey, good morning. Tommy Willis, Jersey City, New Jersey. I don't have a business or a shop yet. Just learning the ropes here, and hopefully get something started soon.
There you go.
Right?
Tommy, you look and sound like you're from Jersey.
Thank you.
Great response.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, I'm Tamara Dinkins. I own Splash and Detail in Seattle, Washington. I'm a 23-year veteran in the yacht detailing industry, and I'm learning an amazing amount of information, truly getting humbled this week. All I can say is, never stop learning.
There you go. I love it. All right, so we've got Darren sitting over here, and he's our intern. He's a little shy, look at that. So Darren,
How you doing, Chris?
You got to introduce yourself, man. Say where you're from,
Darren
all that good stuff.
LaRosa, Victoria, British Columbia, meticulous detailing.
There you go. So he wasn't going to get up, so I put him on the spot.
It's their
I put him on the spot.
I don't want to take it from them.
No, it's part of you too, man. No. This is you putting into it too. So, all right, let's jump into it. So Q&A, this is kind of cool. We've been wanting to do this for a long time.
I've got 4 or 5 really cool questions lined up. I've actually got a few more in that, but I want to at least try and get to these 4 or 5. So we'll see how time goes. But I'm going to bring up the very first one right now. And this is from Britt Stokes out in American Fork, Utah. And he asked, how do you go from being a detailer to an entrepreneur? Is it a mindset shift? How did Renny go from detailing on his own to establishing multiple successful shops?
Ooh, great question. Brett, good hearing from you. First off, okay, so when I was a kid, I've shared this, is I had this vision that I wanted to be I saw search and rescue out one time. I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be a soldier. I wanted to be a garbage man because I got to go like on big shit and right on the outside of it on the street. That was cool stuff. I've shared that in some presentations. But I always wanted to be my own boss, and I was mowing lawns. I was trading in bottles, all these different things kids do, right? The thing at that point, and well, back to Bill's credit. I remember Bill when I had my first business, was a detailing business. And I was detailing airplanes. And I remember I detailed his airplane. He was blown away. I was 14 years old, and it was I detailing it? I was cleaning it. I mean, that's really the reality of that first business. But I remember him telling me, listen, right now, what you've got is you've got a really good paying job for a teenager. You've created a job for yourself. You don't have a boss. So the first thing is admit, okay, what's my education? Let's go back. Dream, vision, plan, execute. I've lived by it. That saying since I was a kid. Dream it. You got to dream it. And then you got to vision it. Okay, how's this all going to work? Right? And then plan it by the numbers. Don't overanalyze it. Plan it. If you've got $20 to start your business, okay, the planning is going to be pretty simple. Is I got to get a full-time job, and here's my plan of buying stuff. And in the meantime, I'm just going to build up and do what I can. Okay. Fake it till you make it. Tough to do. Not impossible. I did it, as a kid. I did it as back at, these guys know my story in the late 90s of what happened to Diane and I. And we kind of faked it until we made it. So your mindset, the first thing is to survive. Get the ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation. So, get air into your lungs of your business, right? I mean, there's reality. Make sure that your airway's clear, meaning that you don't have a lot of debt following you. You don't put yourself in a bad position where you're going to strangle yourself. And so now if you're in that situation, I was. Both times I started my businesses I was just a kid trying to survive. I didn't have anything. I had people around me. Okay. Key people. Then the next time I got myself in a bad position, I was going to use my skill sets that I learned from my other businesses to dig me out of that spot. And so I took and admitted my reality is I don't have much. So what am I going to be able to do without much? The second thing I did is mentors. I'd look at people and I'd say, I want to be like that. The thing I had that was just natural is I wanted to know how other people got where they're at. It was just my natural curiosity. How did you get there? How did you make it? What did you do? And so I started asking questions. The next thing is that I started acting like an entrepreneur. I educated myself. And I'm not talking, I've got 2 degrees. Well, technically I got 3 with an AA degree. I want to tell you, those degrees did this much. That much. It was a penny out of $1. It was literally 1%. All degrees did was teach me how to learn. I really believe that. Now, if you're going to be a doctor or something like, am I against education? Absolutely not. Because every time you educate yourself, you're teaching yourself to learn more. So once I got to where I was stable, now I've got a good paying job. That's what most small businesses are. They've got a good paying job. They quit their 40-hour-a-week job to be their own boss. Now they're working 60, 80 hours, killing themselves a week for the same money they were making at their job. I get it, but you're your own boss now, right? Now you got to turn that into a true entrepreneur. How are you going to do that? Is that you're going to budgetary, you're going to watch your money, you're going to grow naturally. You're going to take and put connections of people. We already talked about that pyramid, right? You at the top, you've got to learn to be a people person. Now, maybe you're not a people person. Okay, if you're in the tech industry or something like that, I always hear this. Well, I'm not a really good salesperson. Well, if you're going to be a business, you better learn how to sell. And you don't have to. I've never believed. I was told in my first 2 sales jobs that I was going to fail because I wasn't aggressive enough. What's actually made me succeed is because I wasn't a pushy salesperson. What I was doing was honing in my skills without having, to be pushy. And that actually was a benefit. I didn't like that. I went in, I got hired from a company to come in. This guy I was doing business with. He goes, I will pay you $1,000 to come in and work in my company for one day. I think you could be a millionaire by the time you're 30. He owned a stockbroker. He was an investment company. I went in for that one day. 2 hours in, I said, you don't owe me a dime. I'm getting out of here. This is slimy. I can't do this. I can't do this. This isn't for me. It's not my makeup. I don't want to sell hard sell people like this. Because I want to educate people. I want to entertain people with what I do. I want to connect with people. I want people to like me. I want to like them. And this isn't it. Could have I made a lot of money? Probably a crap load because I had people skills, right? So how did I go that mindset? Is that I had a dream and I had a vision and I wanted to go make that happen. And I just set out and I said, okay, here's my goals. Is I had a Bill Quinn always mentions it, is I started out small in my goals, 3 months out, 6 months out, 1 year out, 3 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out. And so I would lay that out. It's laid out right now in my life. You guys saw the things that I pull up. I lay out quarterly goals for myself, seal them in an envelope, look at it every quarter. And so it's planning and seeing what you want to do. And then also the biggest thing that people make a mistake of doing is make sure that you're building your business around your life, that your life is first. You're filling in all the blanks. That's the toughest one right there. That's the toughest one. But let me tell you, if you back up and you have your life, okay, I've got my, if you're young, you don't have anybody yet, that's when you got to really be careful. So you know what you do is you have personal time. That's what I was in my 20s, man. I had it made when I was in my 20s. I had the right outlook. It was all about outdoors, skiing, s'more skiing, mountaineering. It was about giving back to my community. I volunteered thousands of hours a year, right? And all of a sudden I started becoming successful and making money. But here I didn't overwork. Is that crazy? Because I worked really hard. 5 days a week. And I played. I'd go into work on Monday mornings, worn out from so much play, but I was charged. And so a lot of people think, now, did I give up a lot? In my 30s, that's when I overworked, and it slowed my process down. It didn't speed it up. Is the joy in my life made me happy, and I really feel that people pick that up. They pick up when you're truly happy. When you're just worn out and you're stressed out, even when you're in front of them, I was good at hiding that. Obviously, I wasn't that great. People were picking up on it. It's an energy that you put out. It's an energy you put out. And so my whole thing is I just, even if you're a little tiny, I had people, my own family, tell me that I was never going to make anything out of detailing. They said that twice to me. When I sold my first company, Spectrum Detailing, was it a business? They were absolutely right. It was not a business. I was not an entrepreneur. I had a good paying job. And the businesses after that, I started maturing that and turning them into actual businesses. So what did I do? I had a plan. I had a financial plan. I had a financial planner. I invested. Is even if it was just, I remember investing in my retirement the first time, and I met with an advisor, and I was 20, I don't know, 21, 20, somewhere right there. And they looked at the finance they're bringing in, and they go, you don't have a whole lot to invest. And I said, well, correct me if I'm wrong. When you're young, it doesn't take a whole lot. My point is, I want to invest the little I've got right now. And as I start building up success, I want to invest more. And wasn't interested. So I found another one. And that person's like, hey, here's what I'm going to tell you. Why don't you invest half of what you want to do right now, which was a minuscule amount. Take that other part and put it into your business. Let's accelerate the growth of your business a little bit so that in a year, now all of a sudden you're investing 3 or 4 times what you do right now. Brilliant. It was that mentality. That person stuck with me as a financial advisor for 20 years. For 20 years, because they understood it. And so it's mindset. It's also self-admitting what your strengths and weaknesses are. What do I need to work on? You know, am I an entrepreneur? Is okay. I've got job awareness and job experience. That's cool. It's going to help you. It's not. A lot of people will tell you, a lot of the gurus out there will say, it doesn't have a lot of value towards you owning your own business. Bullshit. If you learn and you get in those life experiences, every life experience has got value to your business. Is all your life experiences. But entrepreneurship, you got to know, okay, the biggest mistake I made was not bringing on those financial advisors sooner, of not bringing on a really high-end CPA a little. I did it really quick. I wish I would have done it from the start. From debt, could I afford that? Keep your day job until you can't afford it. That's the other thing is don't go, man, there's bad debt and good. I don't like debt, period. But the only debt I'll take on is good debt. That's writable. I ask myself every time we've got credit cards right here. I've got personal credit cards and business credit cards. And Diane and I have this discussion at least 3 times a week. Okay, is this a business write-off?
How can we?
How can we make this a business write-off?
Yeah.
You know, so is this a business write-off? And the answer is yes or no. And so I keep it real clean for our accountant because they absolutely know, hey, if it's on this card, that goes towards, it's personal, right? So we got to pay that out of the personal account. All these other things are out of that. So you can see where I'm kind of going on this. So to establish multiple shops, let's talk about that second part, and then we'll move on to the next question. I'll be direct. That was ego-driven. That was me wanting to be bigger and not better. And it was one of the silliest things I ever did in my life. It turned out I learned a lot from it. And so the people I have interactions with can benefit from that. But I wanted to be big. And what had happened was if I would have concentrated just on 1 or 2 locations instead of 6. The other thing a lot of people don't know is 3 of those locations is I brought on partners. So 3 of those locations, I brought on partners. Darren's shaking his head. It was Now, a couple of my partners, really good partners. Okay. It worked. A couple of them, nightmares. And so what I really wanted to do was I wanted to take and scale rapidly. It worked, but at what cost? The cost was I overworked, man. I overworked at a vital time in my life when I should have been overworking. That was when my kids were little, that is not the time. I mean, it's a double-edged sword because you got to provide for your family. I overdid that a little bit, and it took a couple of years to catch up from that because now all of a sudden I've got a habit forming personality. Now I've got this habit of what? Overworking. That's all I knew was to hitch the wagon up, put the harness on and pull and start going. That's what I knew. And also it trained my family that it was okay to have me overwork. Scary. Everybody around me got used to me being a workhorse. And I used to call myself the donkey, is that I just strap on the cart and start pulling the ore cart, just start pulling it. Not a good habit to get into, and not a good habit to get your family and the people around you into, is that you've got to have a threshold. You got to set that threshold, and you got to set it for yourself. When you take and misset that threshold of overworking for yourself, everybody around you gets used to that too. And they're going to take and they're not going to misuse it on purpose. They're going to take and have it as a bad habit for themselves, not just for you. So all right. So I think I got that one. I'm going to just answer this real quick. Diane's calling me real quick, guys. I hate to do this. Hey, is everything okay? I'm on a podcast. Big Bear, the little one. Right by. Yeah. Bye. I want to make sure.
Real life, right?
Real life. Sorry, guys. We got dog in the vet right now.
All right. So very next one. Let's see. We got Josh Pierce. I believe he's in Iowa City, Iowa, or at least near there. Anyway, how do you stand out and differentiate yourself from other shops when the economy starts slowing down? And how do you become the leader in your market during uncertain economic times?
I love this. Josh, is what you do. Hey, buddy. First off, it's all about people and connection. You're going to start, you go on a rampage of constantly putting good content out, not for the fact of just putting content out. You've got to put valuable, you've got to take and educate, entertain. And what I mean now, it's not a dance show, is that educate, teach them things about detailing. And people have a real hang up with that. Professionals in almost every trade have a problem telling people how to do things within their trade. And that's a ridiculous way to look at it. People are never going to do the advanced stuff. All they're going to do is take and make your job easier when you see the car again. And so we're finally to a point where a lot of people are seeing value as business owners is because they're selling in the soap, they're selling in the wash bucket, they're doing different things. We did that for 20 years. So we educate. In that education is entertainment too. We don't try to be a comedian. You are who you are, but through educating, you're also taking and entertaining because they're going, oh shit, wow, look at this. And so you don't have to be a funny person. You don't have to be anything else. The two can combine. The other thing is we have empathy for people is because you're facing the same thing they are, uncertainty. Our spending is backed way off. So is that affecting people we do business with? Absolutely. We haven't stopped doing business with them, but we're not being sloppy with our money. We're being very, very careful with our money. And so the other thing is getting active in your market and going on to not just social media, but digging in really. We just had Oscar walk in, is digging in deep within your local chamber, is educating at that level, digging in deep with the nonprofits, being a party community and offering up services, offering up volunteering to do things, not necessarily writing a check to these organizations because organizations are hurting too, is volunteering your time. Your time is much more valuable. And so you've got to stand out within your market. You've got to take and be able to stand out in a good way. Does that make sense? And so how do we do that? How do we stand out within your market? Is you're being active. Don't go silent. Get now, when I say get louder, all it is sending the message out. Start educating people at a local level. Think of the most famous person. Okay. Who's Elon Musk right now, man? The dude's on fire. I mean, we keep saying that, right? The guy, every time you turn, I've gotten in the last week, probably, I subscribe to a few different news channels, right? I'm real careful what gets into my head. And I've probably seen his name in headlines 12 times. But here he is. What's he own? SpaceX. He has, Tesla, everything else, right? Is he
Twitter?
He's not what Twitter? Yeah, Twitter now. Is he talking? Is he the one that's doing the talking about him? No, he's got everybody talking about him. It's genius. So what you want to do is try to get on to a talk radio show in your local market. Do things that are supportive. Go to ribbon cuttings for new. I hear people say, "Wow, my chamber's not very good." Okay, go make it great. You go make your chamber great. Don't tell me your chamber's not great. Then good. That's an opportunity for you to be a shining star in your community by making a chamber that's suffering great, especially if you're young. Nothing against us guys that are a little older, because we can do it too. But you've got to go out and in these uncertain times. The other thing is really look at your menu and shorten down your menu and have everything. I tell people right now, the sweet spot for coatings is $600 to $800. The super sweet spot for coatings is $150 to $300, no paint correction. So there's a couple different markets. Now you might be in a market that's just got buku disposable cash. What's going to happen with people that have got cash, even the top tiers, is they're getting thrifty with their money too, believe it or not. Not only are they getting thrifty with their money, a lot of them are going to try to work you over because they know times are getting tough, and they see you as a peasant. And so are those my customers? If the green's just as good, but I'm not going to take in, I'm not going to bow down. If I've got a $300 service and they want to pay me $150, I'd rather go out and bartend at night and find the right customers at a country club or something like that. That's not going to take and whittle me down. Okay. Cause that's what a certain degree of the market's going to do. I'm not going to allow that to happen. I just mentioned this too. Hard times is that, we are, Diane and I were never afraid to go back to work. We always had one plan. We were going to succeed. We never had to do that. But had things got, bad, you would have seen my butt go right back to work to support my business so my business would survive. I am not beyond that. But here's the thing. Have your menu really adjust. What's your market hungry for? Do some beta testing. Go out there on the phone calls when people come in. You say, hey, here's what I've got, make sure that you've got the audit, your performance, make sure that you got the wording down. You're asking the right questions. The other thing is make sure you're competitive shopping all the shops in your area to find out what they're lousy at. And then you be really good at those things. If there's a shop in your area that's nailing it, then your goal is to figure out a script. You're even better than they are. It's not cheaper either. I don't want to be cheaper than anybody. Even when I was brand new, if I went out and there's 6 or 7 shops, I wanted to be at the same price or even higher than the best one out there that I figured. The most expensive one, I didn't even want to come $25 below. I wanted to be at their level. Why? That was the message I was sending. People these days don't know how long you're in business unless you tell them. And so unless you've got that impressive mark, where, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 60, whatever years you've got into business, unless you're telling them you're brand new, they're not going to know. And the only way they're going to know is if you're acting new or if you're insecure at being new. Don't be insecure. If you're educating yourself, be secure in that. But get in contact is Josh. Know what your market is looking for and know what the sweet spot in your market is. And if you don't know those things, start doing your own A/B testing. Have 3 things on your menu. What are people shifting for? What are they going for in your market? And whatever they're going for, that's where you start. That's where you start because you don't want to lose their interest and be too damn expensive right off the bat if they don't. Now, if you're not landing any, you got to do a lot more research in your market and find out where it is. But I really, honestly, I didn't care what my competitors were pricing things. I really didn't. I didn't care. We sold on service and connection. Now every market's got a glass ceiling. You can't, I couldn't at the time. Let's say our average price was $375. Our competitors' average price was probably $175. I couldn't take it up to $575. I would start damaging myself, right? And so I had to be. Now, for a while there, for probably about 5 years, we did. And then 08 happened. And that's kind of what could be happening right now. And then what we did again is we adjusted our menu. We went in and started doing A/B testing. Are they accepting A or are they accepting B? What's the most? And then when we be in front of people, we put ourselves in. When the economy goes bad, I get louder and louder and louder and louder. Not obnoxiously loud, educationally loud. And what I'll do is I never talk shit about other people, but I'll say, hey, do a little video and talk about why you're taking and using steam on the inside of a car, and show them. Do reels, do shorts for YouTube. Put all that social media. All I'm going to do is say, hey, a lot of people in our market, hi, my name is Renny Doyle. I'm a detailer here in Big Bear Lake, California. And I just wanted to talk the realities of detailing with you. Started out that way. And going, one of the things we do is we use steam within all detailing. And then be steaming something and be talking to the camera. It's all things you can do. And say, we use European steam for one reason, is we don't really have to use a lot of chemicals. So if your family or family members sensitive to chemicals, we can even provide a complete cleaning chemically free. What's the difference within steaming versus a lot of my competitors are using wet extraction, and the interior car is just absolutely soaked, and it could be wet for days. Our system is a dry system. No, I'm not talking crap about my competitors. I'm generalizing it, talking crap about my competitors. I'm not pointing anybody out. Well, what's that going to do? It's going to put you in the crosshairs. Your bad competitors are going to hate you. Good. I love that position. But what's going to happen is now all of a sudden people are going to start calling out. They're going to talk to you, and then they're going to call your competitors that don't know how to sell, don't know how to connect with people. And they're going, hey, do you guys use European steam? Some of them will be dumb enough to go, what's European steam? That's bullshit. You got them because your competitors just failed. They're not competing with you. So Josh, you've just got to be above the board, the best. If you're not the best, you got to wordsmith yourself the best. If you don't know how to speak real good, you're going to go to Toastmasters. You're going to get involved with the chamber. You're going to become better and better and better and better and better at communicating. And we've had people come into this training extremely shy. And I tell them, you can't be shy. You got to learn that 8 hours out of the day, when you put that entrepreneur hat on, don't be shy. When you take it off at night, be shy. Take a deep breath, go to the gym, whatever, work out that frustration hat and talk to people. Danny Elfman, he's the composer for Tim Burton movies. He's done, if you name the movie, he's done all Tim Burton movies. He was in a rock band or punk band or whatever you want to call it. I call it Oingo Boingo. There is no music like it in the world, right? One of the reasons he left, I just saw Danny Elfman for the 15th time in concert. Took Diane because she never got to see him, right? I always thought he wasn't coming back into the rock circuit because he was so successful with Tim Burton and made himself a gazillionaire 10 times. No, he had extreme stage fright. The whole time he was in a rock band in the 80s and 90s, he had extreme stage fright. At 60 years old, he came out to the concert just months ago and said, I'm really nervous. I've never been a solo artist. I've never put a concert on by myself. I'm kind of weird. I'm kind of effed up, but here we go. And he got halfway through the concert and he was feeding off the audience and they loved him. And he was 100% himself from 30 years ago, 40 years ago. He became comfortable. You've got to become comfortable at talking. Don't get stage fright. Work your way through it. If people are giving you good feedback and you're liked, you're doing a good job. You're probably doing a much better job than what you think. You're not as shy as you think. You probably speak better than you do. Here's the other thing is you're answering phones, or as customers come into your shop, if you have a shop, don't let them know you're recording it. Delete the recording. You're not using it anywhere else. Record yourself communicating with customers. and better yourself, study yourself, and make yourself a better communicator. There it is.
I'm going to actually skip over one, but I am going to come back to it. But I'm going to go to Jake's question because I think it's kind of related. So we'll just see if we tie it in here. So Jake, I'm going to butcher his name, but I think it's Gaerluck. In
Jake,
Dickinson, Dickinson, North Dakota. He asks, how does one advertise or promote their abilities to potential clients? So not necessarily, talking slow times, but how do you, I kind of think where this is going is how do you promote that you're better educated, that you've done more training, that you've gotten certifications, all that kind of stuff.
God. We had a young man here, and it's slipping me who said it. I'm so sorry because I love to give credit. And he termed it, and I've said it several times, is that the good, this people say out of an organization, whether you're part of AAA insurance or you're part of the IDA or part of the detail mafia or you're part of, I don't care what organization it is, your local chamber. What's in it for me? What do we get out of it? I'm going to bring in a little secret. Everything in your life, your health, your mental health, your physical health, your success in business, your success in a marriage, your success with your kids, your success with your dog, everything comes down to it's what you put into everything you do. I don't care if it's an organization or lifting. Back when I was a kid, I really got into powerlifting. I didn't get stronger unless I lifted. You don't get healthier as you get older unless you exercise. And so the first thing you do, I love what this young man said, is he explains it when people ask, they're talking about him. He says, one of the things I'd like to mention also is that we're an internationally recognized certified detailer. God. And so your credentials is how you present them. Other detailers are going to say, I don't care about being certified. Your clients do. You're an RN. Okay. Could you imagine going and applying or somebody now, because you're leadership, right? So people come in and report to you. Could you imagine somebody coming and applying for a job and say, I really want this nurse position. Okay, well, what's your credentials? I went through an EMT class. Right? Is that, listen, you've got to be trained. And then you've got to tout to get where you're at. 30 years. I'm talking to a young man that's done extremely well. He's in a top position. I won't embarrass him by telling him how high, but he's climbed pretty high, hasn't he? At a very young age, right? Your credentials. How much did your credentials help you climb that ladder? So many people don't talk about their credentials. Here's the other thing is that how do you advertise and promote your abilities is getting active, and you don't need any special editing software. You don't need anything. Is going live and showing people what you're doing, and maybe putting a plug in there when you do it. Is you don't have to say it every single time, but maybe have a paint gauge up and showing, say, we've got a brand new car, and I just want to kind of show you guys, everybody watching this in the greater Dickinson market, is that we are one of the few, and I never say I'm careful to say the only, because you might age out that video. Your competitors might come in and get certified and then call you on it. So I'll say we're one of the few, if not the only, internationally recognized trained and certified detailers in the Dickinson area. We want to share some facts with you about detailing. And you do a little video and you show your paint gauge, you show your gloss meter, you show these different things. You talk about healthy clear coat. Is you do a 1-minute video. All these things are going to separate yourself. You write articles. You put articles on your website. You put a newsletter. You go and you present to the chamber. One of the greatest things we had that I honed in my ability to communicate with people is senior citizen centers are always looking for guest speakers. So we would come in and talk about senior car care, how to take care of your car, how to make it last a little longer, simple things they could do. And we'd always educate them. If you're looking to have something professionally done, here's what you must really look at to protect yourself. Make sure that they're IDA certified. We called that out. And what we did is all those senior citizens probably weren't within our budget. But I felt good because we were telling them, we're sharing with them how not to get ripped off and really kind of the bare minimum. These people are all on a pretty serious budget. If they're there on this event, they're on a very small budget. And so what they couldn't do is they're probably looking to our good lower, because there were some good lower entry level detailers. There's a couple of them in our market that did a pretty good job for cheap. They really did. I didn't want to do that. They were supplying a service to a market that we didn't normally do. Sometimes, even at these events, I would refer them over to this. We do a little higher end. We work on Air Force One. We do these things. But there's two companies I want you guys to get in contact with, and both of them do pretty good work at this level. Here's the questions to ask them. What a great opportunity. Would I bring them in? No. This is my highlight show. I'm sharing them, but this is me getting better at speaking. This is me getting better at sending my message. This is me doing something nice for the community. And so, get out there. Nobody's going to tell your story, Jake, like you are. And so you've got to get it out there on social media. You've got to get it in your newsletter. You've got to get it onto your website. Here's the other big thing. I'm pointing at Oscar right now, is you've got to get other people talking about it. And so how do you get that? Is you're going to go and become really big part of the supporting part of your local chamber, of your local Rotary clubs, of your local lead generation groups. I would much rather be part of a chamber or a Rotary and support them, because their lead generation's there to help people, but they're really there for profits. And it's a little different than when I got involved in the chamber. Oscar's never heard this. We moved here. I knew I got to jump in. I just moved back to Big Bear. I haven't been here in 20 years or almost 20 years. I have got to take and get connected right now. How do I do that? Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce here was pretty good at that time. We just amped it up a little better. And so we met people in a brand new town. And within 1 year, because I went out and got involved, and I got involved with search and rescue here, we got involved with citizens on patrol, a lot of senior citizens on our trainings. We'd bring their vehicles in. We got involved with the local animal shelter and the local animal rescues. We got involved in our first year here. I had my car in a couple car shows. The second year here, we were announcing the car shows. We're the announcer at the car show. So we jumped in, and within 12 months, we were a really big part of this community. If you've been a part of this community, maybe your lifetime or for a decade or 5 years, you've already gotten in. But you're going to make it even deeper by getting involved with that. We even got involved in our homeowners association. I was the vice president of the homeowners association. It was kind of a pain in the booty, but it put me in front of other homeowners that had nice homes, and it allowed me to build relationships up. The other thing is I never expected those relationships to give me referrals until I gave them a referral. I worked hard on making them successful. If I got nothing in return, I didn't have anything bad to say about them. I just didn't push as hard for their company. I went and found somebody that was like me that would share the word. Does that make sense? So, Jake, those are some great ways. That was a great question. So I hope you're well.
Okay. These were all good questions. I got another pretty good one here. We already heard from Romero earlier in the show when he gave us that nice comment, but he also sent in a question yesterday. So Romero Torres, he's from Oakland, California. What is the best way to select and find a shop location? And what are the right questions to ask when acquiring about the available space?
Wow. First, right off the bat is don't go triple net. Do not lease a building triple net. That means it's all pass-throughs. You're going to be paying if they decide, let's say there's 10 units in your complex, and if it's triple net and they decide that your second year in that they're going to go ahead and repave it, and it's $10,000, you're paying 1/10 of that. So you're also paying the property tax. So if it increases, every time it increases, you're paying part of that. If they decide to stripe the new blacktop, you're paying part of that. If they decide to put a brand new roof on it, you're paying part. Well, guess what? When they have a triple net building, guess what the owners do? The nice side of that is they keep that building nice because you're paying for it.
You're paying for it.
You're paying for it. You're paying for it. In that case, if you have to go to a triple net, I'm going to look at everything available to go buy my own building or build my own building. I wish we would have done that consecutively all the way through. We've done it twice. Looking back at it, I think right now, especially the SBA, there's a lot of different, it's relationships with banks and everything else. You could actually buy your own property and build your own, So look at that as an option. A lot of times people are looking at, you're in Oakland, not completely impossible. You can do it. There's also a lot of these buildings that are condoized that the ownership of these buildings are aging out. They're starting to get to the age to where the families don't want to take it over. It's a lot of work for them. They don't want to deal with the challenges of society that we have right now. Right now in California, to be a landlord's not a good thing. Is that people? We've got housing and commercial buildings that certain counties and cities they cannot kick you out. You've got people that are renting buildings and homes that are not paying landlords a penny, and there's nothing the landlords can do until those people decide to move out or they become destructive. Even then, they can't get them out in certain markets. And so people are wanting to know when they come vacant, they're like, screw this, I'm not doing this again. So what you want to look at is no triple net. The other one is the first thing to do is, what's your reality? I would say go smaller. We had one huge shop that we owned. Okay. And then this one. Everything else that we leased was way under our means, not over our means. The other thing is I can tell you this, we had a shop, the one that we owned was drive-by opportunity. It brought the wrong people into our shop. It didn't bring the right people in. And it also brought an element in that saw what we had in the shop, and it spooked me. So we had to close our shop off. We never let anybody go in the back because we had some really nice vehicles back there. And it just brought an element in that was just being nosy, So we went off the beaten path. Is that we looked for shops that weren't right there. Matter of fact, the last 3 shops I had didn't even have front signage on it. Zero. We always put something on the building that would stand out to where we could tell the clients, look for X amount. That's all we would have something that stood out, or we had a landmark of another person's company. And so, we decided to go away from, I just don't think detailing is a volume. I think that there are markets out there that does work, but it just didn't work for me. If you're looking for drive-by traffic and you're going through, I would say probably you're better off looking for a car wash and buying a car wash and then putting your detailing center into the car wash and do it that way. That's another opportunity. Is why just look at a shop? Why not looking at buying or renting a car wash, or leasing a car wash? We've got people that did that, the self-service bays, and they turned one bay into their detail bay. They're apt. Everybody coming in to wash and spray off their cars, they could scan the QR code, or they could call you right then and there, get a bid. So what I'm looking for is reality of, the square foot price. I want to know if it's triple net or not. The other thing is, will they accept? A lot of these buildings will not accept automotive related businesses, especially detailers, because they're dirty. The water runoff, you've got to ask them straight out. If I start washing cars on the outside of this building, how much blowback am I going to get from my neighbors and the other businesses? A lot of times the owner wants to fill a spot. If he's got to kick you out because you weren't transparent on saying you're going to wash cars, guess what? He or she is going to kick you out, and you're going to be sued for the rest of that lease that you owe on it. And you're not going to have a shop, but you're going to be paying for one. And so a lot of times we've got people that I know, what they do is they have taken and renamed their business, or they've got a name and it doesn't say detail in it. It's paint correction, or it's surface protection, all these different things. And so you've got to look at the realities of who's gonna lease to you, how much it's going to be. And then unless you're 100% sure, the other really big one is 6 to 12 months of backup capital. Is that you've got to take and have your company and yours enough savings to pay you and pay all your business related bills, including your new lease, for at least 6 months, preferably a year, without bringing any income in. Because what if you get hurt? What if the economy tanks? What if we have another 9/11? You know, we lived through September 11th, and for 2 or 3 months, it really slowed business down around the country. A lot of industries really hurt. We were one of them. We were okay. We had enough savings. So that's the other thing you ask yourself is, do I have enough capital to make this happen? And what happens if I slow down? Do I have a need? Is it a need versus a want? Do I just want a shop, or do I need a shop? And there's what it is. We operated and did over $1 million a year in 1,200 square feet. 1,200 square feet. Now, what I'm not telling you is that we had about another 2,000 covered square feet that we added during the summertime in awnings and canopies and stuff like that. But in the wintertime, we had it literally, it was a squeeze we could fit a truck and a car in, but 2 big trucks, almost impossible, you know? So we had a canopy outside in the wintertime that we could dry store without getting snow all over that truck until we're ready to bring it in. And for delivery, the same thing. You also got to ask yourself, okay, if I'm doing a lot of coatings, we don't like turning coatings out in bad weather. And so do I have enough room to keep them overnight and still be able to work on what I've got going? And so all these different things got to apply to you. Right now, I know I thought commercial property is going to dump, and it's just not. It's really expensive. Our town right now, the other benefit is if you own the shop, and it's not impossible, the biggest thing that you're going to have is people slow themselves down by not thinking they can own their property. You can own some markets, it's really tough, but don't think it's impossible. It's just really tough. And so now available space, again, when you get off the beaten path, you're going to have an easier time finding stuff. Primary drive-by is going to be a little harder to find and a lot more expensive, and most likely triple net. And so just kind of look at that. Don't be afraid as you're getting in. If it's a solo owner that owns that property you're looking at, don't be afraid of asking him, have you ever thought about selling this property? Because that's how I got into mine. Both of them. This one too. You got to open your mouth up. And both of them didn't happen in an active search. It was an active search. I had my ears and eyes open, but I wasn't hunting for it at the time. And we rolled into the best situations we could just by word of mouth. So pretty cool. Hope that helps out, Romero.
I think so. All right. Last one is a quick and easy detailing and product question.
Okay.
It's from Jose Luis Castro in Mexico. He's a newer detailer. If I coated a vehicle with Sol, can I do a maintenance wash with Absolute? And I answered this one for him, and I told him absolutely.
Absolutely. It's so let me qualify. I mean, waterless, rinseless washing has been around. We started on aircraft. I did my first rinseless wash. I got to do the math. Over 40 years ago, because airports are real sensitive to stormwater runoff, what's called stormwater runoff. That includes water from a hose, or a pressure washer. They're sensitive about everything. You want to get people really pissed off. Just go do something wrong at an airport. You'll know about it pretty quick. And it's one of the most politically charged pieces of property in a community. An airport is much like a marina, right? If you do anything wrong, they're not going to know about it. Everybody's going to know about it, and they will rat you off. Yeah. They are looking for you to screw something up on those two elements. And so with that being said, yeah, you can absolutely do an absolute wash, a rinseless wash on it, even a waterless wash. We're going to do that right now. And again, what's going to be sensitive to Sol, which is our topper, or what we call 1 year coating, which I hate putting, time frames on any of these coatings anymore. But friction is going to be part of the removal process, and even soft friction, is going to be part of it. And then chemicals are going to be but absolute. So balanced that you're not going to have I love it. And matter of fact, it's even going to put a little bit of softness to it. So a lot of times what I'll do is we'll use Absolute as a drying aid. So even during the wet wash process, if I've got a car, this car is probably the only, I'm looking at a little Porsche, my wife's Porsche. We really try to really take good care of the paint. The paint's in really good shape. All my other stuff's daily drivers, man. I'm going to correct it, but we'll use Absolute as a drying aid on top of this, and you can even feel it. It just makes it even smoother. So as the car's wet, before I take a towel across it, I'll just mist some Absolute on it, or Bead Maker, or even Dream Maker onto it, and it just helps kind of do it will clean up any dry, water lines that you might possibly get on it, and it works out. It works fantastic. It really does.
Yeah, my favorite is to wash with Absolute and then use Bead Maker as a drying aid. Boy, that just feels so good and always turns out nice.
It does. The polymer finish it puts on the surface is it's really, really, really smooth. You guys are going to be doing that today. And so here in-house, we'll be doing that today and experiencing that. So what a lot of great questions. Those were pretty cool. I dig it.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you've got more questions, submit them to us, because we love it. We're going to try to do this at least once a month.
Yep.
Or once a month, not at least. We're going to do it once a month now and open this up because it's fun. And I think it's educational, and I hope you all enjoy it.
Yeah. So contact info's below. Both our email addresses are there. Renny@detailingsuccess.com, Chris@detailingsuccess.com. And, the next big thing's coming up for everybody right now is Mobile Tech Expo. We've got, we mentioned it before, but on Education Day, Renny's going to be in 3 different places. And one of those is the keynote. So I got to get him busy on preparing that still, probably.
I'm already on it. I've already got about halfway done, so you can apologize now.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
I'll send it over to you too. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take and get you a special hat and shirt. If I send it over today, you've got to wear it on the next 10 podcasts. How's that?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Yeah, I do too.
But yeah, and then at Miami Lux Detail Supply in Miami on the 30th, which is Monday, immediately following Mobile Tech, we're doing a coffee, coatings, and profits event. We've just had 2 of them now. We did one last weekend. We had about 40 people show up to that. It was really cool. The one in Miami is going to be a little bit smaller just because Williams got limited space, but it's going to be a good time. So if you're in the area and you want to check that out, please check our social media. You'll find it, and we'll get you all signed up for it.
Hey, and Romero, going back on shops, go back and those looking for a shop and somebody that's done a lot with a little space is William and his wife have done an outstanding job of building a really, really cool location, and it's not big. It's not tiny, but it's very workable, and they've made the best out of it, and it's marketed perfectly. It looks fantastic. And it's by Miami standards. It's affordable for them. To jump up next level would be really expensive, and so they've made the best out of what their market offers, and they did a great job on their location. And really good people. We have a fun time every time. We're down there a year ago, and that's when we met as at Mobile Tech. And so we have a good time. And then later in the year, we're going to be coming up towards your area with this. We have to figure out how. But we want to talk with Bobby and do one in New Jersey when we have the Spring Detailers Weekend, Mafia Weekend up there. And so we want to tie that in and have one of those events. So that way we hit all 4 corners of the country with this event. So, and
I had a request yesterday to do one kind of in the middle of California in the Manteca area. So we're gonna talk about that too.
Yeah, I'd like to get one up at Oscar's shop. Do one up in Ventura area. He always brings a good crowd up there, and then somewhere it might be even fun. We have to figure out how to do one up in the Pacific Northwest also. Definitely.
Yeah,
we have to do one up there. Yeah. So we'll figure that out. So maybe we get up there and do it a day before Air Force One starts or something like that. Sunday morning. Maybe I get up there Saturday night and we do one on Sunday morning. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun for the Mafia that wants to come up. People that are going up early, come on up for it, and be a lot of fun. Be cool.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right, guys. Well, hey, take care. Have a great week. We're gonna go work these guys' booties off and wish them luck. Great people. So, thanks for the questions. We didn't get to all of them, but we'll roll those we didn't get into the next one. And thanks for submitting them. And we'll see you next time. Take care, all.
Thanks for listening to the Renny Doyle Podcast, brought to you by Detailing Success and PNS Double Black. Listen to new episodes weekly, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to share with your friends and colleagues.